All right, let me share my screen. Okay, should be sharing. And today we're going to clean up, or today, whatever. Right now, we're going to clean up this data set called DataSaurus Dozen wide.tsv. So I've loaded tidyverse and janitor, and let's bring this in. Read CSV data, DataSaurus Dozen wide.tsv. 143 observations of one variable that can't be right. Look at this. Super messy. All right, well, I use read CSV, and this is a tab separated. So I'm going to change read CSV to read delim, which uses tabs as the field separator by default. There we go, 26 variables, much nicer. Wow. Okay. Away 1, 2, bullseye. So we've got essentially a bunch of different data sets. Let me just load up the cleaned version. Read delim, DataSaurus Dozen.tsv. 1,846 observations of 3 variables. Yeah, so we've got data set X and Y. So this data frame contains, I think, 12 data sets. And they're named. Each one has an X and a Y value. And there's the names of them. Okay, so this is long format. It's tidy. The data set, the X variable for that data point, and the Y. Right now, yeah. Let's just look at this thing. Always a good idea. If something's acting funny, let's just go in there and look at it. First on data. DataSaurus Dozen wide.tsv. So let's just open it here in Excel. And we've got 2 header rows, not just one. That's pretty stupid. So we want to pull our names for the data set from this. Looks like X shape. Okay. And then a column X and Y. And then the values that go inside. Trying to think of how I want to do this. I mean, really what we need why did I pick this? This is awful. All right, we're going to clean it. We're going to do this anyway. Bear with me. Okay, so we need these words in their own column, not repeated. And then we need an X and a Y. Every data set that is messy is uniquely messy. I'm reminded of that. I hate this. Okay. So we've got a bunch of X's and Y's. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to start looking at stuff. Okay, so there's the clean data set, but we want to clean up dat. So let's see. I'm going to just make a nice vector of the data set names. Read dilem of data, DataSaurus Dozen wide. And I'm just going to read in the first line. In maximum number of lines to read, 1. So there's my data sets. Okay. Call names, false. There they are. Okay. So if I want the first row of that, it's still returning it as a data frame. So I'm going to try a different approach. I'm just going to read in the lines, not telling it to coerce it to a data set of any sort. Number of lines will be 1. Okay. So there it all is. The \T is for a tab. So I'm going to I need to separate those. String split on a tab. There they are. And then since it's a list, I'm going to unlist them. Beautiful. There's my names. And really, I just want them repeated once. So I'm going to ask for the unique values and see what that gives me. Okay, so I've got a nice list of the different data sets that are in there. I don't know how I'm going to use that, but it just seemed like something to do. Okay, then we've got our dat, which is pretty hideous. I don't like it. It's giving us these ... 1, ... 2, because you're not allowed to have columns with the exact same name. And so it had 2 that were away, right? And what it's done is just added on the numbers away 1 and away 2 to avoid having the same column names. So we need oh, this is terrible. X, Y. Essentially, we need to get away from these here. I'm going to take off unique because it occurs to me that I do want them repeated. Away, away, bullseye, bullseye. When I read this in, I'm going to skip the first line. There. And so now we've gotten rid of the data set names, and we just got X1 through whatever. Okay. So the first 2 will be for the data set away. Second 2 will be for bullseye. Oh, this is freaking ugly. It's all right. Let me do this. All right, me talking out loud while thinking is not working, so I'm going to go silent. Because I feel really stupid right now. And there's like obviously an easy thing that I'm missing. Do I have to like leave the tidyverse almost and just build a data frame from scratch? Oh, I don't like that. Maybe I can do this with a little for loop. Okay, so if I take dat, select, starts with datasets 1, which should be the word away. Yep. Oh, that's because I skipped. I swear, I kind of know what I'm doing here. Okay, so that would give us away 1, away 2. We've got our X and our Y. Okay. I'll call this X. So if I can get it to work with the first data set away, then I can turn it into a for loop. So we've got X. I want to get rid of that first row because that's useless. And I want to turn it into away underscore X and away underscore Y. Then we can pivot. Yeah. This is probably a stupid way of doing things, but I'm doing it anyway. So I don't want row 1. So that gives me everything except row 1 right there. And let's see, names of X, way ... 1 and 2, string replace 1 with underscore X. That's good. And then string replace 2 with underscore Y. There we go. So I'll reassign the names of X to be nice and pretty. So now X without the first row, it's away X and away Y. Beautiful. Okay. So we need to turn that into dataset X and Y. So this might be the easiest way. X data set is data sets 1, which should be the word away. X without the first row, we've got away, X and Y. Names of X. Really, I just want to be X and Y. Okay. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that first row. X is now X without the first row. And then the names of X. Yeah, I'll just do that from scratch. X, Y, and data set. So looking at X here, that is tidy. Okay. So now we just have to do that with 11 more things. I don't want to do it manually for everything, but datasets square bracket 1 refers to away, and so it's pulling those. So I could try to generalize this in a for loop going 1 through 12 or whatever. Datasets has 13. Okay. So got to do this 13 times. First time through away, second time through bullseye, but then how do I kind of like store those in the process? I'm going to make myself a list and fill it with the for loop. Yeah. So I'll go down here. And I'll say for I, some variable, in sequence along data sets. What that does is it gives me 1 through the number of items in data sets, 1 through 13. So my variable I, the first time through the for loop will equal 1, just like here. Second time through will equal 2. All right. Curly brackets. Everything inside them will get done in the for loop. So I'll stick it all here. And really all I got to do is change datasets 1 to datasets I. Okay. And so when this runs through the for loop, it's going to make X using datasets I. If I equals 4, then datasets I will be the word dino. Cool. Okay. If it equals 1, it'll be away. If it equals 3, circle. Excellent. So we'll make X. We'll change the names. We will change that to I, so it'll put the right dataset name in there. We'll remove the first row, change the names, and look at X. But what I really need to do is, instead of just displaying our new fancy data frame, I need to save it somewhere. So I'll make something called full, and it's just going to be an empty list. Full I, the first item in that list, right, 1 through 13 will be X. All right, let's try this. So full. That's not beautiful. That's better. I forgot to use double square brackets because I'm dealing with a list. Okay, so what we've made is a list of lists, a list of data frames. So here's the third item in the list. It's a data frame, X, Y, and data set. Beautiful. Now I need to merge them all together. Okay. The per package, we saw it with map and map character and all that kind of stuff, where you can map or apply some function to every item in a list. It's also got a reduce function, and so you can take a more complex list and reduce it into a single item. So I'm going to reduce full, that list of data frames, and I'm going to use the full join, because I know that I could join 1 and 2 together, and 2 and 3 together, and 3 and 4 using full join. So I'm going to use that within this reduce, and that's going to give me 1846 times 3, yay, which is that. So I'll call that dat. Join them all together, dat XY dataset. Beautiful. So now I could take dat, go to ggplot, say aesthetics x equals x and y equals y, and that's all, plus g on point. And then I'll go ahead and facet wrap on the dataset column. Yeah, beautiful. Almost. Not exactly. Not beautiful at all. I think those aren't being treated as numbers. So I'm going to map to dat class, and I see that they're all characters. Okay. I could also say glimpse dat. I see character, character, character. I need to change x and y into numeric. So dat per reduce full join, and then I'm going to mutate x equals as numeric x and y equals as numeric y. Control Shift Home to highlight everything above me. Control Enter to run it all. And now I try to plot it. Ah, they're numbers now. Really pretty. Cool. So each data set gets its own little plot. You can see that they're all different. And it's got a dinosaur. This is a pretty famous data set here because if I take dat and I group by data set, and then I summarize, mean equals mean x, sure. NA remove is true. Look at that. Every single data set has the same average, the same mean for X. They do for Y as well, and they've got the same standard deviation, and like all their summary stats are the same. So if you looked at a table of statistics about each of these data sets, they would appear to be identical. If you visualize them, they're very different, obviously. And so this is a famous teaching data set in stats for basically making the point you need to visualize your data before modeling. A dinosaur is different from a circle, but on paper, if you just look at the mean, max, standard deviation, all that, it's the same for each of these. But we got it cleaned up. It's nice and pretty. I'm going to remove this extra stuff. There's my for loop. And this was me practicing. This was me getting the names off of the first row, so I'm leaving that. Okay, get rid of this. And then I'll annotate. I'm going to put 4 little hashtags after that. If I do that, this makes a first level header. And when I click here, the document outline, it'll show that. And so I can make myself a nice little outline. So I could say load packages 1, 2, 3, 4, and that pops up. But if I put 2 hashtags, twink, it's nested underneath setup now. Okay. Load data. Let's go lowercase there. And underneath load data, we're going to extract real call names. Okay. Read dilim file. And we're going to clean the data. Here we are build empty list object. Isn't that nice? I love the little outline there. A for loop to fill list object. And then we're going to reduce list to single data frame. Okay, and then, of course, we don't need to do this. I'm not actually going to run it, but we could export. So we could write our CSV. Dat, which is newly cleaned up. DataSaurus Dozen. Clean. .csv. And so this script, as it is now, really just kind of sets up, it does the cleaning, and then it exports. This is a great kind of way to do things, is keep all your work in separate scripts. So, for example, the cleaning would be its own script. And then visualization would be a script. And then modeling would be a script. Right? And then reporting would be a script. This way, every time you work on this project, you don't need to start with this script because you've already done the cleaning. And if something changes, you will go back and just rerun this and it re-cleans it. Okay. So that's nice. I can't believe it actually worked. This was much more ridiculous than I expected. Okay.